Welcome to the Jerry Powell Podcast. This is Eric Widera.
This is Alex Smith.
And Alex, who do we have with us today?
We have a special guest today from our own division, Eric. This is Rebecca Sudore, who is a professor of medicine here in the Division of Geriatrics at UCSF. And she's here to talk to us about a groundbreaking study that was released today. This is a randomized trial of Prepare for Your Care.
And you're also today giving a talk at AGS, a plenary talk on this. Is that right?
That's right.
So we usually start off by asking our guests for a request, and I know that we emailed back and forth, and you suggest some suggestions. What are you choosing here?
Well, what I really wanted was "Power to the People" by John Lennon.
Yeah.
But you told me you didn't know how to play that.
Well, no, I could play it. Let's clarify. But I needed a giant gospel choir behind me in order to pull it off.
Eric didn't want to play the gospel choir, So we're going to do Skinny Love by Bon Iver.
Come on, skinny love, just last the year. Ooh, it's high. Pour a little salt we'll never hear. My, 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 my. Staring at the sink of blood and crushed veneer.
So tell us a little bit about this paper that just got published.
Yeah, so it was a randomized trial comparing two easy-to-use advanced care planning tools. One was an easy-to-read advanced directive, and the other was the prepareforyourcare.org website. And we found that by providing patients these easy-to-read tools, not only were they able to increase their engagement in advanced care planning, such as have discussions with their family and friends, but over a third of them wound up putting their medical record or their medical wishes into the medical record.
Wow. Well, before maybe we take a stab at some of these results and what you found, let's maybe take a step back and, the easy to read advanced directive, is that the easy read advanced directive that you also created? Now how long ago?
Yeah, it's been, over 10 years.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I would say that I probably spent the majority of my career trying to design and create materials to help people make more informed decisions. And I think advanced care planning definitely is one of those areas where I think people need a little extra help. And so realized that there really weren't very easy to read advanced directives out there. Most of them are written in difficult to read legal language, and they're scary and they're hard to read. And that could be a reason why people didn't engage in them. So about, I guess maybe it was 10, 11 years ago now, we created an easy-to-read advanced directive that's written at a 5th grade reading level. It has pictures that help describe the text. It's in English, Spanish, and about 10 other languages. And we had done a randomized control trial at our county hospital in San Francisco in English and Spanish and showed that people, not surprisingly, preferred this easier-to-read form, were able to complete it. So that's sort of where all of that started.
And you didn't just rest on your laurels with that. Over time, and I've seen prepareforyourcare.org. That's www.prepareforyourhair. Prepare for my hair. Prepareforyourcare.org. Tell us a little bit about that website.
Yeah, I think, we had created these easy-to-use advanced directives, and I thought naively that I had solved the problem in advanced care planning and that we would just give people these easy-to-read advanced directives.
It didn't just fix everything?
It didn't fix everything. And as a geriatrician who sees patients in clinic and as a palliative care physician who sees people in the hospital, I think we, many clinicians know the form's only as good as the discussion that goes behind the form. And that, especially in geriatrics and people dealing with serious and chronic illness, they're not dealing with just the one or two decisions that are on a form. Mm-hmm. They're dealing with many decisions. They and their family are wrestling with many decisions over time. And so it became clear in talking to patients and their family members that they needed some preparation for medical decision making. They needed some help. And a form in and of itself wasn't going to do it. So we did a lot of focus groups with patients and surrogate decision makers, people who had to make decisions for themselves, and, ask them what worked well and what kind of support did you feel like would have been helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And we took actually those stories that we heard from patients and surrogates and put them right in to the Prepare website.
So what is Prepare for Your Care now, and what can people expect if they go to the website?
Yeah, so we really wanted to create something that wasn't just education and information, like you should do this. I think a lot of people know they should do it, they just don't know how to do it. So we really wanted to make sure it was easy to understand and showed people how. So easy to understand, also written at a 5th grade reading level, also in English and Spanish. And then the cornerstone really are these videos that show people how to do something. So how to choose a surrogate, how to start these conversations, how to ask your doctors questions. There's 5 steps to the website, and it walks people sort of step by step through that process. And as people are going through, they can answer questions about their values and their goals. And then they sort of get this printout that they can use to spark discussions with their clinicians and their loved ones.
So back to the study. So can you tell us a little bit about who you studied in this randomized trial?
Yeah, so these were veterans at the San Francisco VA. They were from multiple primary care clinics. They were over the age of 65, and they were included if they had a primary care provider, and they sort of were seen in the clinics at least a few times, in the recent year.
And this was a diverse group, is my understanding.
This was a diverse group. If I remember correctly, close to 50% were from diverse backgrounds.
Mm-hmm. And being a VA, it was mostly men.
It was mostly men, so there were 9% women.
Mm-hmm.
We tried to oversample, and I think at our San Francisco VA, it's about 4% in general.
Okay. And you compared what to what? What were the 2 arms of this trial?
Yeah, so one group got the Easy to Read Advanced Directive, and the other group got the Easy to Read Advanced Directive and the Prepare website.
So it was an active control group.
It was an active control. This was a comparative effectiveness. Everybody got something.
Mm-hmm.
So there was no usual care here.
There were no usual care.
So if you looked at their baseline, how many people actually had advanced care planning discussions?
So what we found is that about 50% of people had any kind of evidence of advanced care planning in the medical record before. And when you look at the national average, that's telling you the VA is actually doing a pretty good job.
Mm.
I think what we found, however, is that the mean time of those discussions and or forms were 5 years before. And when you think about, people change, people's clinical context change, and we often say that people should update their advanced directives at least on a yearly basis. One of the reasons that we didn't exclude those people is because we wanted to give people the opportunity to update their information. And it's also one of the reasons why our primary outcome was looking at new advanced care planning documentation to see, did these tools help people do new advanced care planning?
Right. And so what did you find? What were the major findings?
Yeah, so our major findings were that, over 80% of people in both groups engaged in some form of advanced care planning. When we looked back at the advanced care planning rate 6 months before this study for the cohort, the advanced care planning documentation rate was actually less than 1%. But the group that just got the advanced directive had an increase to 25% of documentation in the medical record. And the group that got Prepare and the advanced directive had a 35% increase. And that difference was statistically significant. One of the other things that we found is that that's just documentation.
Right.
But that doesn't include all the other discussions and conversations that they were having. And people who got the Prepare website also sort of to have these conversations and felt more prepared to have them.
And then, but it was up to the participants themselves to bring the materials that resulted from the Prepare website to their clinician. Is that right?
Right. And we timed the intervention so that it was about 1 to 3 weeks before their primary care visit because we wanted to give people the opportunity to bring it in. We did have a reminder where in the control arm, we reminded them to go see their doctor. And in the prepare arm, we reminded them to see their doctor and to bring in any of their materials that they wanted to their doctor. So there was a little bit of a reminder there.
Right.
But it still, again, was up to the patient to decide whether to bring it into the clinic and then whether to bring it up with their doctor.
So the research staff never actually contacted their physician and providers. This is all like real life.
Right. And I think that's also an important point. We did nothing with the clinicians except get their permission to recruit their patients. We didn't tell them about the interventions. We didn't give them the interventions. We did no training.
So if I want to do this in my clinic, let's say I have a patient I want to try this out on, how much would it cost? Is it free? Is it?
That's a really good question, Eric. So the website is free to the public, and the advanced directives can be downloaded from the website. Clinics can download our easy-to-read advanced directive, can download the prepare pamphlets, can put a link to prepare in their materials. UCSF actually has the ability to do licensing with any organizations who would like to incorporate these materials into clinical programs, who might want to what we call white label or brand the information for their organization, and who might want to integrate some of these things into their electronic medical record. There are groups that have licensed from us because they want to know which patients are coming and to get a report back about, how good they're doing in advanced care planning. So there are licensing opportunities.
So it sounds like if I'm a patient, I can use it for free. If I'm a large organization, I should probably license.
Yes.
Great. Now, just putting this study in the larger context of advanced care planning, you have your finger on the pulse of what's going on in terms of advanced care planning nationally. And we've interviewed some folks who are involved on this podcast, including Angelo Volandes at Vital Decisions, and this video advanced care planning. Laura Hansen, we interviewed for a podcast about her video advanced care planning in dementia and nursing homes. How would you situate prepare and the easy-to-use advanced care planning in the context of all of these really interesting innovations that are going on nationally?
Yeah, I do want to say that all the people that you mentioned are good friends of mine, and it is a really exciting time because I think more people are starting to think about advanced care planning, and there are really amazing innovations out there. Want to talk about the Conversation Project, which also has a very community-based focus. Pulsed, the Pulsed group. I love Angelo's, videos. So I think that there are a lot of materials that, people can use. I think maybe what differentiates prepare in these materials is the fact that they are available to the public. They're easy to use. So they're targeted to a range of literacy levels. And I would say for something that can be a charged topic for some people, we've made it so that it's approachable, it's not scary, it's easy to understand. It's also in multiple languages. So it's in English and Spanish. We've translated the materials into Chinese, but we're looking for funding to be able to provide the information in Mandarin and Cantonese. So I think it kind of helps with the language piece. The other part of it, too, is that not only is it evidence-based, which I think is an important piece, but we've really gone out of our way to design these materials with and for the community. So at every single step of the way in terms of our development, we include people from diverse backgrounds to give us help to make sure that what we are giving to people is culturally appropriate. So I think that that's sort of where it can fit in.
Yeah, that's terrific.
So what's next?
There's so many things. So first of all, we just launched our new face page, which is sort of exciting. We have a little video montage in the beginning that kind of tells people a little bit about what Prepare is, and we've launched in the new face page a resources section so that people can download these pamphlets and the advanced directives. some of the other things that we've been doing we've tested Prepare in group medical visits, being able to sort of use, again, it doesn't necessarily have to be a physician. It could be ancillary staff because all the information in Prepare is there. I'll step back and just say people can go through Prepare in an interactive way, clicking through the buttons, answering questions, and then all of that content can actually be wrapped into a movie. And that movie can be played from start to finish, or it can be played one step at a time. But what that allows people to do is that even if you have no training in advanced care planning, you can put on a group. You could put that group on in a clinic setting. We've been sending it out, and people have been using it in senior centers, libraries, places of worship, and you don't have to have any training. And we've created toolkits so that people can just take the website, and it has everything in there from how do you send out an email newsletter about your event, how do you start the process, how do you click the play button on the Prepare website. It just really walks people through that. So our goal really is to try to disseminate and to get the information out to as many people as we can.
So there's a lot of activity going on as far as reform of healthcare.
There is?
There is a little bit of activity. There was a bill passed, something American Health Care Act or something. We'll see where it goes. But in any case, there's a lot of interest in reforming existing legislation, which is colloquially called Obamacare. How does what you've done and Prepare fit in with healthcare reform?
Well, there's a lot of work that needs to be done to fix the healthcare system. That is for sure. But I think we can say that no matter what your politics, we all want to have a voice in our healthcare. And advanced care planning is a really powerful way for people to take, control of their health. And it's really critical to ensuring that people get the care that they really want. And I think we found in this trial that really using easy-to-use tools, even with minimal input from the clinical system, can really empower people to engage in this important process and really prepare them and their families for advanced care planning. So my hope is, regardless, I think you both know how I feel about things, but regardless of where things fall, that advanced care planning is still really important.
So what's the one thing that you want our audience to remember?
Well, I think that there are these easy-to-use, free materials that we've shown really help people engage in advanced care planning, are non-threatening, and they're a way to help people have a voice in their own healthcare and to prepare their family and friends. So they're out there in the public, and again, we really want to just get them out to as many people as possible.
So get the word out.
Great.
If you're listening, spread the word. Go to prepareforyourcare.org. Check it out.
Let's end with a little bit of
Tell
music.
your friends. I got to pull my pants up to get these high notes. Come on, skinny love, just last a year. Pour a little soap we were never here. My, 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 my. Staring at the sink of blood and crushed veneer. I told you to be patient, and I told you to be fine, and I told you to be balanced, and I told you to be kind. And in the morning I'll be with you, but it will be a different kind, 'cause I'll be holding all the tickets, and you'll be owning all the fines. Come on, skinny love, what happened here? My, 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 my. Are you gonna join in? Good the sink of blood.
I've never heard of this song.